podcast for heroes in the world of Overwatch. This is The Payload.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special episode number 18 of The Payload. We are an Overwatch podcast from blizzard-activision, headquartered in Denver, California. Just kidding, it's Colorado. I do that every time because you're from California. Denver, Colorado. I'm John Horstman, and with me, of course, from Ventura, California, is Jimmy Bloxham. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, so good to be back and talking about Overwatch. A lot of changes have happened. Yeah, it's been a lot of stuff to really soak in and get into.
Yeah, there definitely have been a lot of things going on, a lot of big things, a lot of things that I think surprised us a little bit this last week. We can't wait to get into all the nitty gritty with you guys. But first, Jimmy, I want to hear, we haven't really got to talk for about 2 weeks. What have you been up to in Overwatch, man?
Yeah, it's been a little while. I've been casually playing Overwatch, and not as much as I would like. I've been so busy with a lot of the Heroes community stuff and casting. But after this weekend, I should be able to devote a bit more time to Overwatch. But yeah, I've been playing a couple days a week for about an hour or two, and it's just been really fun. I really like the daily brawls for now, and they've been really fun, and just I've gotten to do a couple just 6-man stat groups, and that's a lot of fun to just have everyone on voice chat having a good time, and you really don't worry too much about losing at that point. It's just you're having more fun than anything.
I think I know Jeff Kaplan has said it a few times about how important it is to play Overwatch in groups and how much they've designed the game around being group play because of the exact thing you said. Yes, people want to be competitive. Yes, we all want to win. But when you win as a team, it's the best feeling in the world.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose as a team, it's not nearly as bad. They're not nearly as polarized. Whereas when you win by yourself, it doesn't feel that great. When you lose by yourself, it's because the rest of your team was absolute crap and they shouldn't be playing anymore and get out of their mom's basements and things like that, you know? So
yeah, definitely.
It's definitely really fun to play with a group. I got to play with a group of friends last night. It was way late. It was at the end of my stream. We were doing really well in Hearthstone, decided to call it a night and was like, oh, you know what? Let's pull up some Overwatch. And got to play it with some of our friends from Blizzard and a couple people that I met from BlizzCon. And they are way better than I am, so that felt awful. I'm like, okay, I need to play more, or at least get it to me on console. I can be a console baddie, but I'll at least contribute a lot more to my team. But it was a lot of fun. The new I don't want to spoil, but the new competitive play I think is really well done. I'm really excited to talk about it on the show. And yeah, I was just really, really enjoyed playing. I can't play it by myself though. Like I really can't play it by myself. I find that I'll play Hearthstone, and if I see someone come on who has beta access or is playing, I'll be like, hey, can I hop in with you? Otherwise I won't play. Because it's just, I don't know. It's a great game, but I don't think it's that great of a game to play by yourself.
I think that's very similar to how Here's the Storm is. I mean, I can do okay solo by myself, but queuing up with other people, even if it's just one other person, is just infinitely better than playing alone. Right. And yeah, like you were saying, I got with a group on, I think it was Monday, and I ran into, I forget who it was. It was just someone who I think was a big name, big streamer or something, and they were just super good at the game. So I'm excited for this game to be launching next month and for a lot more people to be in that the matchmaking queue. And I imagine matchmaking will be significantly better once we get some more people in there.
I have noticed though, over the last couple of patches, I feel like I'm not playing nearly as many like super like just outmatched games. I feel like the matchmaking has gotten a lot better over the last couple patches, but it's still, I think it's just too small of a player pool that there's going to be a more natural delta in skill versus when you multiply it by 10 or 100 or 1,000 of what we're have now for a player pool. It's just got to get a lot better.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword though, because it's kind of nice a little bit right now. I know this is very much like, oh, the rich being happy about it, but it's like you tend to run into people either on Twitter or from the community from other Blizzard games and stuff like that, and it's really fun to do that. I imagine this is going to happen significantly less often when the game does release, but it's been a fun beta experience, even though I know people have not been happy with how they handled open beta as far as getting people in and how many people they got in, but it was definitely fun for those of it.
It's interesting that you brought that up because just last night we ran into Michelle Morrow, and so that was kind of cool. So she ended up hopping in after, which is kind of fun because we had room for one more. So I definitely have noticed that, where it feels like at least every other game or every 2-3 games we run into somebody. In fact, I ran into our friend Palomanis.
Yeah, nice.
Like we weren't friends or anything, and I looked and I was like, "Is that you?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's me." I'm like,
"Yeah,
oh,
how
are we not friends yet? Let's be friends.
Let's fix that." Yeah, I've actually ran into Blue Orion, one of our Overwatch writers for BlizzPro, and that was just random out of the blue. It was fun though. Unfortunately, it was kind of a troll game. We went all 6 mercies on each team. We got the other team to do it too, so it was really silly.
What?
It was very, very silly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, Jimmy, enough reminiscing. Is it time to talk about some of the news?
Let's do it.
This week in Overwatch.
Lots to talk about in these last 2 weeks in Overwatch. But I think the big one that we want to talk about first is Blizzard did reveal their second digital short called Alive that goes through and talks a little bit about Widowmaker and her story in Overwatch, how she got to where she is. Very poetic, very well done. But before I go any further, Jimmy, do you kind of want to lay the basis for kind of what's going on here in the short?
Yeah, I mean, it's an opening shot, kind of just the robots. I forget what they're called. The Omnics. Yeah, their leader is giving a speech to the humans and the Omnics at the same time, kind of trying to unite the two different factions together, promote harmony and stuff like that. And you see Widowmaker kind of setting up her shot to assassinate this leader. I don't remember if we exactly got the name of who it was, but I believe you do actually see Zenyatta in the crowd somewhere throughout the short. And
really?
I
didn't know that.
I think you do. I'm not 100% sure, but you also see Tracer there as well, and she kind of senses something's going on, and so she goes after Widowmaker on the rooftops and stuff like that. And so that short is just basically a lot of that action, and we really get to see actually finally in cinematic form the ultimate for Tracer, and it's just really well done.
Yeah,
super exciting, action packed, and I don't know how Blizzard does it, but these shorts, they're like 7 minutes long, but they just totally pull me in and emotionally get me every time.
Yeah, this one was really good. So I found out, and I think this is correct, but it could be wrong. We don't know the name necessarily, if it's the name or his title, but it's Tekarta Mandata. He's the one who basically in Zenyatta's bio on playoverwatch.com, it says, recognizing the spiritual equality they held with humans, the monks, led by the enigmatic robot known as Tekarta Mandata, sought to heal the wounds caused by the Omnic crisis, blah, 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 and bring it back to harmony. It sounds like he's the one that's going around and talking. And so, yeah, so Widowmaker goes to assassinate, and then an amazing battle ensues. And it was really cool. I'm not, we're in spoiler territory. I realize that. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it and then continue the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a little upset about how much Tracer got her butt kicked in that one. It was
she got pretty bodied in that. I was and Widowmaker had this like crazy helicopter she got away on. I'm curious if we'll know more about the backstory behind that. Who's like funding her or something like that? Like who is backing her and supporting her in this assassination?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a theory. So we're going to see, I think Blizzard says we're going to see 4 total shorts before launch. Is that right? I think they said 4. We're going to go off that. We've seen Winston. We've seen Widowmaker. And I think we're going to, so there we've seen the ones, all of them from the original trailer, right? So we've had Winston and
Reaper. Winston, Reaper, Tracer and Widowmaker.
So we've got those 2 going. So then I think, I really think that they're either going to do one that's centered on Tracer and one that's centered on Reaper, or I think they're going to do Genji and Hanzo for one. And then
that seems like it would be a good way to go, just because I feel like they built up the character of Genji so well in just that really short BlizzCon trailer that showed him off and the reveal, and they really just laid the groundwork for some solid story to be brought to the forefront of this. And yeah, just again, we always talk about how wonderful Blizzard does on these cinematics, these digital shorts. It's just time and time again, they're really well done, and they blow me away every time. Even though I know that they're going to be good going in, I'm always impressed.
Yeah, the quality on these is amazing. I want to see Junkrat and what's his face? Oh my god, the other guy that he was revealed with, Junkrat and Roadhog. Dang, yeah. I'm so bad at hero names. I think we might see one of them too, or they might do one like more mainstream, like McCree. But they all have such good stories. I just started looking at the list and I'm like, no, I want to know about this person. No, I want to know about this person.
Like, so I really want to know about Pharah's backstory. I mean, they kind of allude to it actually in game. I don't know if you've heard this, but like when Mercy and Pharah are like in the same spawn room, Mercy says something about Pharah's mother, and Pharah just like dismisses it. She's like, oh, basically my mother was terrible or something like that, or just there's clearly like some tension between her relationship with her mother, but all these other characters, including Mercy and I think Winston as well, makes a comment about like either how good of a soldier she was or what a good job she did or something like that. This world is so layered with just hints at everything. I mean, I'm super excited to see where we go from here. I mean, I think this is just the beginning of the Overwatch universe, and we're going to see a lot more than what's been announced.
Do you think they can keep putting out these shorts at some sort of consistency like this? Or do you think we're going to get, like, how often do you think that they could feasibly do this? So it's 8 minutes, but there's a lot of animation that goes into that, right? Like if you think about like an hour and a half Pixar movie, that takes 2-3
that's like
years,
hundreds,
right?
It's like hundreds
of people.
Yeah, and I don't know how big Blizzard's cinematic team is. I think it's relatively small. And I've watched the behind the scenes DVDs that come with the collector's editions of games, and they talk about it being like a year just to do an intro cinematic for like Diablo 3 or something like that.
Right,
so
the WoW ones, yeah.
And
those ones are like
a
super epic, real,
polished,
realistic. Like, yeah. I mean, I think they're different, but still, it's not easy stuff. So I hope we can see like maybe even one a month. Like, I feel like that's optimistic. I feel like we maybe get like 3 or 4 a year.
That's yeah, super optimistic. I feel like these were planned way in advance.
Right. I totally agree.
So they're doing them every 2 weeks now, it seems like, up to the release of Overwatch. So
that's what it seems to be right now. They probably had them all done, and they were just like, ching, 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 ching.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see an announcement for the next one, not next week, but the week after, probably.
I think that would make sense. Yeah. All right, well, let's move on here. The short was amazing. Go watch it. Digital Short Alive. Well, actually, I have to ask you, do you like the first one or the second one better?
I think I like the second one better just because it was more action-packed and I felt fit a little bit better into that 7-minute space. The Recall one it made me want a lot more from it. I was like, you just barely scratched the surface of Winston's backstory. I need to know what happened after baby Winston and this doctor. Like, what happened between then and now? I want to know.
Yeah. Well, I would think like I definitely was much more emotional during the first one, like little freaking baby Winston and everything. Like, I think there was a lot more of an emotional grab there. But I feel like the second one gave you a lot more of an insight into the Overwatch world, which is such a interesting reality that they've made. And so like every time I get those, like, honestly, the fight scenes, yeah, they were cool, but I was more interested in like scanning the crowds when you have like this Omnic dude with his arm around his human girlfriend or whatever, just kind of like, it was really interesting.
Yeah,
like, those were the type of things where I think that I enjoyed the most out of Alive.
I was actually wondering if you were going to bring that up, because you actually see those same two characters in the cinematic trailer that happened when Reinhardt goes in front of the two people. They puts the shield down. It's those two people. It looks very close to them. If it's not them, it seems like it's them.
There's definitely very convincing theories out there and like Reddit posts and things where people have extrapolated all this information, where I think it probably is too. But either way, like, I love that insight into the world and I want to see more of that. Like the fight scene was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love watching Tracer and Widowmaker fight. It was really great. That, you know, it's choreographed really well, that, you know, every angle and shot that they did just looked great. But honestly, I was just as satisfied with finding out like the things about the world and learning about the names of the guy that I navigated away from the page to, so I won't remember how to pronounce his name again. The Dublin Admingata is what I want to say, from Waterboy.
Close enough.
Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of these patch stuff that we have here. So we had a couple patches hit. The first one, the April 5th patch that we saw, was pretty interesting. We went down to 20 heroes for a day or two, which was interesting. So there was a bug introduced with the April 5th patch that made Soldier 76, when he was using a specific skin, activate a cheat code and go invisible. Remind me of like my N64 days, where you could put in a cheat code and you know, get like invincibility or be invisible and stuff like that. But besides that, we did see some huge things. So from the overview, our friend Chanman V's show, they had an interview with Jeff Kaplan. And on there, he kind of he didn't hint. He basically announced that competitive play mode was coming before the beta in like 3 hours from that time.
Yeah.
Which, what would you do if we're hanging out with Jeff Kaplan here and he's like, oh yeah, we've got this awesome new feature coming out in like 2.5 hours. In fact, right after this, I have to go down, you know, into the situation room and push the button and stuff. It's like, But yeah, so we did see competitive play, and I feel like we should save that because we're going to talk about it more in depth. But we did get that. But we got
I just want to say something super quick.
right.
I'm actually shocked that it came out before the launch because I really thought it was going to slip past launch.
Me too. And I had already reconciled that within myself. I'm like, this is not going to be a ranked game or a ranked play game at launch. It's going to be very much just like have fun with your friends and do tournaments, but not really have this real list of people that you can be like compare yourself to or real ranks and things like that. Came out way sooner than I expected. Although I expect that it'll go through some iterations for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm really happy with what they've done with it. I feel like we should just let's hammer through the patch notes really quick,
definitely.
talk about them, and then we'll go back to competitive play because I feel like we'll spend the most time there.
Yeah,
So,
they've added a bunch of progression rewards, sprays, icons, voice lines, and they did say some of the less popular sprays and voice lines have been removed. They don't say what, so guess it was nice knowing you to those. The big thing though is a lot of new legendary skins, and I'd have to say my favorite two are the Lucio ones and the Pharaoh ones. Lucio's is basically a hockey skin. Unfortunately, we don't have our Canadian here for us to really talk about that. But and the Pharaoh one is like an Evangelion type skin for her outfit. But yeah, go check those out on overwatch.blizzpro.com. We've got them all up there, I believe, and you can take a look at them.
My favorite are the new Junkrat ones, the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
really amazing, really well done. But all these skins are. I just wonder how consistent they can keep going on all their skins.
I did also hear that now with this patch, if you had pre-ordered through Blizzard directly, all the pre-order skins are actually available now for you.
Right. Yes.
And now that there's a big box at the bottom of the screen when you log in, it says buy Overwatch.
Right.
Or pre-order Overwatch. Yeah. So we're close. I mean, we're less than 2 months away. We're like 6 or 7 weeks away, I think.
So close. Something that we did have too come through this next patch, which is interesting, but also very necessary, is we finally have penalties for leaving games. In the past, it used to be there's no penalty. You left. You didn't. Did you? I don't even think you got the loss. Did you?
I think the patch before this, they introduced that. This is just
but
some improvements to the leaver penalty.
They made it. Yeah, they made it even more so. So basically, there's a threshold now. I thought they said it. I thought it said somewhere that it was 75%. But
it's a 75% XP penalty. They don't really reveal what the threshold is. It's something based on your last 20 games, like how many of those you've left from.
Right. And so if you fall below that threshold, you'll incur a 75% XP penalty for future games. And then the penalty will be removed once the player raises their game completion percentage above a required threshold. And it's calculated at the most recent 20 games, which is, I think necessary. I actually am surprised they took such a firm stance on this. Like most ones are like, if you leave and you leave again, it's like a 10-minute timeout or something like that. But that one's very permanent. Like if you break up with your girlfriend and she hops onto your Overwatch account and just goes on and leaves games.
Oh God.
You're going to have to play a bunch of games to get back up to that. So, but it's 20 games at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, Blizzard has traditionally been in all their games not too harsh on stuff like this. I mean, as far as like the extent of, oh, you're not able to play the game. They want you still to be able to play the game, but they want you to learn your lesson. Like in Heroes of the Storm, they now mute you if you are abusive in chat and get reported, and you get into a leaver queue, I believe, if you start leaving games. So I wonder if there'll be something similar to this. Some technical updates. Network Graph just shows you quite a bit more information. And I don't know if this isn't something I brought up before the show, but there was a really great video brought out by the dev team about the network play of this game and
the
how
Overwatch
it works.
stacking cups.
It was so cool. Like I've never been like really knowledgeable about how the hitboxes and how the servers determine where you are versus the shooter and the shooter's advantage and all this stuff. So yeah, if you are curious about that, that video is a really great way of explaining how it works. And the cups do a really good job of visualizing exactly how the game works as far as net play. And they did say, actually, I think they mentioned in there that competitive is going to be even tighter than the quick play. So it'll be even less lag as far as that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there was the high bandwidth custom game option. This is really interesting. You can enable high bandwidth mode for custom game, changing the client update rate from 20.8 to 62.5 hertz. So that's good for tournament organizers if they want to really just up the skill level on that. That would be something cool to see.
Yeah. One thing I really appreciated about the dev team's videos about kind of latency and networking and how everything communicates with the server is that I feel like Jeff Kaplan brings a presence of just like pure humility with everything. Like everything's like, oh, this was, we got a lot of this from your guys' ideas and you guys figured this out on your own. And so, we were really happy to be able to take that feedback and bring it back in. And like that humility has played out really well. I think a lot of companies will try to not do that because there'll be that troll who goes, Blizzard doesn't even know how to run their own game. And here they are doing it. And like, honestly, I feel like the Blizzard or the community has been really receptive to that and just has been like, cool, yeah, we're being heard and they're taking our stuff and they're really smart people, but we are pretty smart people times a million. And so there's going to be some things that we're going to figure out that a dev team of 20, 50, 100 isn't going to be able to figure it out. And so, yeah, so I love just the candor that the whole Overwatch team has right now. And I feel like with Jeff, he's always been that way. But now that we're getting other people on the screen, I feel like they're the same way. And I feel like the team's on the same wavelength, which is really encouraging to me because that means to me that this team is tight-knit. And I really think that there's a really good chance that this game succeeds long-term in a big way. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, they seem to have a bit more freedom in kind of talking about what they want to talk about with the game as far as communicating with the community. And I think that's really something if you don't really think about it too much, you're like, oh, that's nice, but it's actually really key for the game's health long term. And this really shows that Blizzard is in this for the long haul. And Overwatch is definitely a game to get involved with if you're wanting to get into a new shooter.
Yeah. What else? Anything else in that first patch?
Yeah, some map balance changes. Each round has a unique name for the control maps. Rounds are now shuffled in random order. I absolutely love this change. This is probably my favorite change in the game with this patch. Because now you don't have to you're not playing the same maps every round on those control maps. So you're like, oh, round 2, I'm going to play that map that I absolutely hate. So you're going to get a random one, makes it a lot more fun. And some changes to a couple of the control maps just with just how the structure works. The control point room in the garden has been enlarged on Lijiang Tower. The pillars in the control center have been removed and 2 walls have been added. And Route 66, I still haven't gotten this map in the rotation. Really? So I still haven't seen it, but there were some changes there as well.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's like playing in the world of Cars. It almost is Cars, but yeah, it's really well done. It's really cool. It's a lot of red rock and things like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. I like those changes.
Yeah. And then there were some hero balance changes. These are mostly quality of life changes. May's ice wall can now be destroyed early by activating the ability again. It's nice if you don't know about it and you kind of spam your E button. It's a little frustrating. You're like, wait, where did my wall go? So it's just a little bit of a learning thing. Beta things are going to change. No surprises there. Mercy, the Caduceus blaster now automatically reloads when not in use. The staff now, you can swap between the healing beam and damage beam without losing your target for it now. Yay!
Brilliant.
And then the Guardian Angel, range increased slightly, cooldown decreased to 1.5 seconds from 2 seconds. And will now destroy environmental objects you come in contact with and can also be canceled. So some just really nice stuff for Mercy players now.
Yeah.
And no complaints here. Just making it easier or better to player. Symmetra, getting the photon shield reduced from 50 to 25. Symmetra, they felt like your win rate is too high, so they're fooling with the numbers there.
Well, this is something that was really interesting to me because we talked about it a few weeks ago, and I had always maintained that I feel like Symmetra was the strongest of the supports, or I think I put her at second. I think when we were kind of ranking our supports that one week, the first week, I could have swore I put her second to Lucio at the time. And I'm glad to finally see that Blizzard got my feedback because I've been saying this, and it really is those shields, right? Those shields were the things that when you're 200 health, person went to 250, or your 150 health hero went to 200. We all remember what it was like when Lucio went down to 150. Very vulnerable. And when they go back up to 200, it's much more survivable. So the ability to have almost your entire team at 200 health or above has huge implications, even if after that all you're doing is spamming giant orange orbs and making sure that your teleporter is up as often as possible and putting up your turrets in the most annoying places possible as well. But it's a good change for a hero that is not, I don't want to say harder to play, but only really appreciated at a high end level or high-ish end level. And I think that Blizzard, by also making this change, is also more committed to saying we're balancing at the higher end levels, not like Hearthstone, where they'll let something like the Druid combo sit there for years, even if it's a way OP combo. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about the Symmetra nerf. Let's hit last Torbjorn, Rivet Gun, now automatically reloads when not in use. So basically, they've done that Mercy for all the characters that can change their weapons. Are now that way. New career overview. There's now options in the game options where Genji, Hanzo, Junkrat can have their can automatically climb walls. Junkrat's Riptire, and then just Genji and Hanzo in general. The Mercy Beam, you can toggle the beam connection. Reinhardt, you can choose to toggle the barrier rather than to hold it down. Soldier 76, hold a sprint. Widowmaker, toggle zoom. Mouse sensitivity, well zoomed, you can change. So great things like that. And then great polish additions to the spectator mode. They went from having like the standard icons to they're now they're rectangular, and they have like the health bars and things like that. Like a lot of things that seemed obvious but are absolutely crucial and essential. And the spectator mode is really starting to shape up and look like something that's really, really good, and it's going to be really functional overall.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of just UI, UX stuff that wasn't really mentioned in the patch. I mean, it's a really small thing, but now when you're viewing someone else's screen or the play of the game, you see their name is actually right by the lower left side of the interface now. So it's a little easier to see whose eyes you're looking through now. it's just a really nice quality of life change. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other little things. I don't know if it was this patch or another patch, but just a lot of the complaints we had a couple months ago about the UI are getting addressed and resolved. So it's really nice to see that.
We even have colored crosshairs now where you can choose the color of most crosshairs in the game. So lots of stuff is getting improved on, which is good. That's why it's a beta, so that they can improve these things. Anything else you want to hit on these April 5th notes, or can we go on to the April 6th ones?
Let's go on to the April 6th ones.
All right. April 6th, Soldier 76 came back. They added some transparency to Widowmaker's scope graphics when scoped in. Added Young Genji legendary skin. Come on. New sprays, yada, yada, yada. Issue. Heroes damage. Mercy's damage beam will now correctly amplify. The rest of it's boring. Not very great.
Yeah, I mean, if a patch comes out the day after a patch, they're probably going to be pretty minor.
Yeah, so pretty small overall, but you can play Soldier 76 now, so.
Yay.
Cool. All right, let's talk ranked play, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right, so ranked play now in the game, and I really, really like their implementation of the new competitive play. So how competitive play worked in the past was there wasn't one, and now there is one. And what they kind of did, for me, I feel like they combined Rocket League and Hearthstone into one. But I haven't played the Heroes competitive stuff yet, so some people are comparing it to the Heroes one. But here's how it works. You have 4 distinct tiers: Challenger, Advanced, Expert, and Master. And each tier has 5 divisions ranked 1 through 5. Challenger 1 being the lowest tier. So think of Challenger 1 as ranked 25 in Hearthstone. You cannot lose stars from rank 25 to 20, meaning that as long as you play enough games and you're winning something, you'll eventually get to rank 20 so you can get your card back every month. So that is the Challenger tier, right? So through the Challenger tier, did I get that right? I lost my spot.
Yeah.
So the Challenger tier, you can't lose rank. It's just you gain experience for winning. You don't lose experience. And then you get that until you get to advance. And that's like getting to rank 20 in Hearthstone, where you can start going up and down, up and down. Yeah, so that's basically how it goes. Everyone starts at Challenger 1 with 0 points, and players will earn 20 points for a victory. Players will lose 20 points for a defeat. Progressing from one division to the next requires 100 points. So they might as well just call them stars.
Yeah, it's very
each
similar.
level has like 5 stars. I feel like that would have been
it's a little bit of a different way of displaying it, I guess. And yeah, I found what's interesting. Well, it's almost very similar to Hearthstone, where you get bonus stars. You basically get bonus points in Challenger, Advanced, or Expert tiers for consecutive victories.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. And then when you're in Advanced and Expert tiers, players will lose 10 points instead of 20 points for a defeat if the match is lost during a tie-breaking round, which is also interesting. So that doesn't feel as bad if it was a close game. It's just a net 0, right? So at least they're doing, because that was one of the things I didn't like. It's like in Hearthstone, it doesn't matter if you lost by turn 5 or by turn 20, you lose a star. Whereas with these, it's like if you guys are really close and you're vying and they just eke it out, yes, you should lose and you shouldn't get the experience for it or climb up in the ranks because you lost. But you shouldn't lose as much as if you just got completely stomped by another team, right? And so I think that makes a lot of sense. And then the last piece is players may only queue up as a group if they are within 10 divisions of one another. So makes a lot of sense. Very functional, very, I think, very simple overall. I mean, there's some rules for like when you win and when you lose and stuff and things like that. But ultimately, 4 tiers, 5 whatever they call, what do they call them?
Divisions. I don't know.
Divisions within each
Yeah.
tier.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense. So I'm a big fan of this. Are you a fan? Did you like the implementation?
I haven't had a chance to play it because I'm not level 25 on my account. But yeah, I really like this implementation. I really like what they've done actually with the match format. I think this is super good for the health of the game and really shows that they are paying attention to how competitive is working with this. And basically you go back and forth on the same map, if it's an assault map or an escort map. So one team gets to attack, then the next team gets to. And if both teams, I really like this. I think this is a pretty fair implementation of if both teams win their respective assault or escort,
right?
Then it goes to sudden death. During sudden death, two teams will play a round on a random objective of a control map. So I mean, that really puts a little bit more value into those control maps and knowing how to play those properly. So I'm really excited to see how it goes. And if the map selected is a control map, then just one full game of that will be played because it's already a best of 3. There's not going to be a tie there to have to go to a sudden death there.
Right. Well, and what they've done too, which I really like, and this was my favorite thing that I took away kind of on this subject, was no stopwatch. I hate the stopwatch in competitive Overwatch. I get why it's there because up until now it's been incredibly limited in how you can enforce that. You can't just randomly go to a map and choose a random thing, and that's how you tie break. So instead, your goal is to get the payload to a certain point or all the way in a certain amount of time, and once the other team doesn't do that in that amount of time, the other team wins, and that's it. But Overwatch is such a swingy game. You have a bad comp a couple times, they hold you down, and all of a sudden you change up your comp, and now you have the upper hand. It can change like that, and it really just doesn't reward that type of gameplay as well as doing what they're doing this way with let them play the full rounds. If both teams get it, they go to the tiebreaker. And so I really love the implementation of that. I think it's absolutely the right choice. Yeah, I think that's about all I got to say about that. What else do we need to hit here? Oh yeah, something about the master tier, right? So the master one is like legend in Hearthstone, where instead of having, are there still tiers, or is that point you're just given a number basically? I think it's just given a number.
Players at Master 5 also have an opportunity to advance to a special
heroic
tier.
Yeah, heroic. 5th tier heroic. So that's the one it is.
Yeah, that's like legend in Hearthstone, and there's no divisions there, and you're just given the number of where your rank is. So very much like legend, and you're going to be like, "Oh, I'm the 500th best player in the US." Suck on that.
Right. Suck on that. Give me Bloxam. So yeah, so I like that implementation too. They said that that's not going to be in for a while. I don't think we got a specific timetable. We just know it's not in the game now. So there is not the heroic tier in the game now, but it is, but they're not showing the numbers. That's what they said. Mm-hmm. We won't, because there's a lot of different ways to balance it, and they want to make sure it's right and polished. So they're testing it basically internally and not letting us see those numbers while they balance it up. So
yeah, it said so it won't be available in this preseason, and it sounded like this preseason might go a little bit into live as well. So it's going to be a little bit
right. Well, I think they said
they hope to
it's
launch
seasonal.
The first official season sometime after the game is released in May. At which point the monthly rotation will begin. Now that's a little peculiar. I feel like that's a lot of pressure on players to really want to hit that high competitive level. I'm wondering how the resets are going to be on the monthly rotations and stuff like that. I mean, that's really kind of the question. I mean, is it going to be very similar to Hearthstone, where you get these bonus stars?
There's no, so I mean, they might be like, there's definitely gonna be some sort of advantage or bonus for the higher that you get in a season. Number one, to incentivize you to get higher in the season, but number two, to be the best. But right now, one of the main problems in Hearthstone is that you go all the way back to rank 16. If I go to rank 5 and in a season and someone gets number 1 legend, we're within I think it's 5 or 6 stars of each other. And that does not incentivize you to do really, really well on the ladder, especially if you know you're not like a top 100 legend player and you've already gotten legends. So just go to rank 5 so you can get your max rewards and be done. They need to incentivize players better than that. Like, I think you drop them down maybe 1 or 2 divisions, or not divisions, 1 or 2 tiers, maybe even one tier, set them back to the bottom of the tier below where they are to have them go back up. Or maybe they'll even do placement. So maybe you'll be placed. Maybe you'll have placement matches, kind of like Rocket League did. I know that Heroes does the same thing, but I don't know how they do that.
You have to play 20 games before you're ranked, and it's a little bit of a slog, but I mean, because that's quite the commitment.
That's a lot of games just to get, like, just to find out where you place.
Yeah, I mean, say every game is about 20 minutes, 20 times 20. You do the math, figure it out. It's a lot of time.
Don't tell me to do the math.
I know. I was collectively telling the audience to do the math, figure it out on their own. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I guess it's already implemented, so I can ask you: do you just get plopped right in at you start Challenger 1? There's no qualifying or anything like that, so
right. The qualifying would help if I read it. That you have to do is that you do have to have your account up to level 25, and so I was at level 23. So I last night, thankfully, the group that I was playing with was like, we got to leave soon anyway, so we're not going to do competitive play. But yeah, you have to be your account has to be at level 25 before you can queue into competitive play. Yeah. All right. Anything else on that one? Feel good?
I think we covered most of it, or all of it. I feel like, really, actually.
Yeah. So, well, I honestly think that's done. I think that's it. We covered it. Guys, send your emails to thepayload@blizzpro.com. We want to hear what you guys are thinking about in the community and what you guys want to hear about on the show. So please send us those emails. And if you do like the show, or if you just like giving people 5-star reviews, we really, 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 really do appreciate those 5-star reviews. You guys have no idea how much that helps us as a show. And, you know, we like to feel good too. But more than anything, it just really helps the show with rankings and visibility and things like that. So if you've got an iOS device, or a Mac, or a computer with iTunes, and you've got 30 seconds, plop down a 5-star review. We'd love it. And if not, doesn't matter. Just having you listen to the show is great. But, you know, whatever. Yeah. Shout-outs. Jimmy, got any shout-outs for the week?
Just really excited for Heroes of the Dorm this weekend, and then probably really digging into Overwatch, finally hitting that competitive play, and I'm really excited for the future of this game. I mean, we're a month away from the open beta, so
yeah, it's tough right now. It's been tough. We didn't have a show last week just because there was nothing, but I have a feeling once the game goes live, it's just gonna be non-stop and amazing. So I'm really excited to get some more people involved, get some more tournaments going. It's going to be a lot of fun. As for me, this whole last week, it was amazing. I streamed almost every night. I missed one night because I had to study for a test, and I've been streaming. It's been a blast. We've been playing Hearthstone. I was doing drinking and swearing with Pat Crane and the other, Convert to Raid people, and that was freaking hilarious. And so we've had a lot of fun on the stream. So if you want to stop by twitch.tv/kicktripod, I would love it. I think it's a really cool time. Yeah, I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and clear this up. So you can find more awesome Overwatch stuff throughout the week at overwatch.blizzpro.com, and our music's great. You gotta admit.
So good. I absolutely love it. Every week, I love it.
We may be a little inconsistent with how often we get to do shows, and we may not be the best Overwatch players, but we have the best music in the Overwatch podcast biz. And that's because of one man, Jake Butineau. Jake, B-U-T-I-N-E-A-U. You can find his website at jakebutineau.ca, and you can actually download the well-met stuff, I know for sure, for free. I don't know if he has the Payload stuff for download or not. I can't remember if I was able to pay. I don't even know if it was a pay thing. But anyways, I don't know. But you can definitely listen to it nonstop. And if you have a smartphone, just download the SoundCloud app, and it's like you downloaded it anyway. And also thank you to Scythe Designs, Dread Scythe of ScytheDesigns.com for doing all of our graphics work. It looks amazing. Send us your tweets to the Payload we're at Payload Podcast, and email us to thepayload@blizzpro.com. And send us your iTunes reviews. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and come on, Google Podcasts, get it together, man. Jeez. It's like they can't figure this out. They're going to
throw it away like they're throwing away Nest.
Oh, there it is. Real talk. All right, well, let's go ahead and get out of here. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out again. For myself, for Jimmy, and the absent Kevin, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
The Payload is a production of BlizzPro. Find out more about Overwatch at overwatch.blizzpro.com. You can find your host throughout the week on social media. Find Jimmy on Twitter at DJ Tyrant, Kevin on Twitter at Lack of Realism, and John on Twitter at Kicked Tripod.